competitive history dives into all sorts of characters in the Mortal Kombat franchise, and recently I have been going pretty hard on characters with expansive legacies, the Sectors, Ermacs, and the Reptiles. But remember, Mortal Kombat does indeed have characters that are important to the franchise in other areas, such as story, for example, that have significantly less appearances, but ones that true fans of the character will always remember. This time, we focus on the General himself, Reiko, who had 2 playable appearances in Mortal Kombat, but way more appearances for story, whether it was things like the MKX comic line, the various conquest modes, or TV shows. This character has seen a ton of spotlight, but not in the conventional way that us as players are used to. He really has some unique elements to him, and was, quite frankly, amazing in one game and absolute crap in the other. Join me for a few minutes as we break down exactly how good Reiko was in his 2 playable versions of Mortal Kombat. We're going to start with Reiko's very first appearance, which was Mortal Kombat 4 on the arcade. Although his moves are very much universal in all of the versions of MK4, so it's not really important which version that you play. A lot of what makes him tick still works. This character was absolutely the combo fanatic's choice. His path to max damage all lied within his famous flip kick, and on top of that, was just really fun to play. He is in fact my personal favourite character to play in Mortal Kombat 4 because his combos are just so insanely fun. Special moves are all here to help Reiko play MK4 to a dangerously effective level. The Shuriken Toss is a simple projectile, but it boasts an impressively large hitbox, especially when it travels later down the line because it actually grows the longer it flies around. It can be used for combo enders or to create some space, and it's definitely not a terrible move. Reiko technically has 2 teleports in this game, one of which is this version, which is the main one that you'll use for sure. It can be done grounded or airborne, and it has a variety of different enders. Mostly they involve the jump-ins, but there is a grab version that he can do as well. These enders can be used to cash out damage, or if you have the execution for it, can extend combos even further, which is definitely its most devastating use. The other teleport is this version, which is a simple reposition tool. It's not something that you'll use tons compared to his other moves, as it does sport pretty long recovery, but you can use it every now and then. Finally, saving the best for last, absolutely, flip kick. This launcher is by far your best attack, and it has super good range, launches for a combo, and it allows for dangerous combo extensions anytime that it connects. This one move is your key to the entire character's game plan. Now, the weapon is not actually as important for Reiko as it is for other characters. Although weapons are all very strong in this game universally, the spiked club that Reiko uses is actually a bit more important for other characters who take it off of him. He's so focused on the flip kick game plan that the extra range of spiked club is cool, but it's not your main objective here. The main objective for Reiko is the same fundamental game plan of MK4 for most characters, as remember, lots of normals and buttons are universal across many of the cast, but his access to turning them into something important thanks to flip kick is what makes Reiko flip over into high tier territory. Important conversions are possible in instances that other characters struggle to obtain it, like air-to-air jump kicks, or jump kicks in general for that matter, fast punishes into flip kick. All of it leads to similar combos that will eventually end in max damage. But the important thing is, you've reached that point off of most hits. That is a really big deal in this game. There are a few rules to his giant flip kick combos though. You actually need to get familiar with how many hits you've done before you do a second flip kick mid-combo. If you use too many hits prior to it, the second flip kick won't come out, so you need to get nice and used to the opening of the combo using as little hits as possible. And if you've used too many of them, this is where the teleport takes over as your combo ender tool, because you can loop multiple teleports, again, if you have the execution for it. Seriously, if max damage wasn't a mechanic, this teleport would absolutely result in infinites, and you'd never get out of it. For those that enjoy tech, Reiko can give his flip kick more range if you perform a run input just before the high kick, which is the button you use to input the special move. You essentially start a small run right before the move begins, which gives it way more range in general, which in the neutral makes the flip kick even scarier than it already was. The final busted note I'm going to mention just as a bonus is that in at least arcade Mortal Kombat 4, when the round begins, there is a few frames where you can't block but can do other moves. Clearly this mustn't have been intentional, but it gives some characters with fast advancing specials a broken as hell free hit on round start, which for things like Liu Kang's flying kick aren't so bad, but for Reiko? The guy gets a free flip kick for about 40% of a combo right at the start of the round. It isn't really something players did as a general courtesy, but that's pretty funny. Reiko is not a beginner-friendly character by any means, and his execution definitely takes practice, but his general toolset, combined with the universal fundamentals of most characters, allows Reiko to play Mortal Kombat 4 exceptionally well. It's less about buttons in this game, and it's more about what the specials or weapon do for you. And his specials, particularly flip kick due to the amount of punishes you can get on certain moves, the combo potential, the speed, the damage, he hits hard, styles on you in the process, and is one of the game's most devastating damage dealers. Mortal Kombat Armageddon, as I've said many times before, really did try and put every MK character at that time frame into one game, and Reiko would be a new addition because of that, having not seen him for quite some time. Unfortunately, he's not very good in Armageddon. His moves let him play MK4 amazingly well, but the moves that he has here are kind of the opposite. He doesn't play the meta, doesn't do crazy damage for the most part, and his most useful buttons are nowhere near the level of reward that other characters get for the same situation, into way more reward than he does. Special moves are mostly all here again. The Shuriken toss is back, but it's definitely a lot faster, while sporting way more recovery. This move definitely has its pros and cons, as the speed is great, but the recovery ain't. Teleport is back again, but it's really bad. A single hit when it connects, but it is hilariously unsafe, and it can't be done in the air this time round. Don't bother with it, take my advice. Shoulder Charge channels the hidden Shao Kahn in all of us, and it acts as a simple charge attack. Decent damage on its own, and it's also a pretty tidy ring out tool. That's it though, it adds like 1% damage to combos. Finally, the most important move is back, and once again, Reiko's best move in general. Flip kick launches and it does great damage, is surprisingly fast, and it will be your greatest combo option, just like in Mortal Kombat 4. Now, instead of immediately mentioning why Reiko is so bad, I do want to highlight some of his good areas. You know, just for any Reiko fans that still want to give him a try and build a game plan around the stuff that he can do. Because every character in this game, as bad as they might be, does have a group of decent moves. In his hand-to-hand, standing 3 is your main button. It has really good tracking, recovery, and it launches, which is a lovely touch. This exact launcher can work off of his 1-1 string, as 1-1-3 is a combo string, and the standing 1 standalone is a fast, recovering stagger option. His only good low poke in this stance is down 4. The others have terrible frames on them, so don't bother. But at least the down 4 is kind of fast. Flip kick gives you the best damage universally, and after single hit launches elsewhere, a second flip kick can always juggle into the same height and allow for a tidy combo ender. On that note, Reiko uses the air cancel glitch universal to Armageddon to max out his damage mid-screen, as his 4-ender in hand-to-hand can be air cancelled out of, and you can juggle a shuriken toss before they touch the ground. He actually gets really nice damage from this, all things considered, so get used to this ender. It by far is his best way of getting damage in general, although a bit tricky and definitely one of Armageddon's many glitches. Now, as much as I hate to be the bearer of bad news, that really is all that's good about Reiko in this game, and the fact is, it's not enough. His entire kit lies within it some major flaws that just make it hard to thrive in a game with the insane god tiers in the same roster. Damage is a major trouble. If you do 1-1-3 for a launch, I don't know if it's because the axe kick hits twice, but the scaling afterwards is terrible. In fact, in a lot of instances out of strings, he gets major combo scaling, which, to be fair, is a common occurrence for a lot of characters, but for Reiko it seems especially prominent, because everything not single hitting scales like mad. There's a reason I haven't touched on his weapon stance, by the way, and it's because it too is very underwhelming. It's just a bunch of single hits that all have immense recovery and basically offer nothing new compared to his hand-to-hand. But, I mean, his weapon standing too is okay. You can parry cancel it as well, which isn't terrible, but the weapon is just so one-dimensional, it doesn't grant Reiko much extra layers to his game plan or anything of the sort. In hand-to-hand, 113 stance change is a weapon swapping string, and a lot of characters do have this as a source of easy high damage, and using this string by itself, while not being majorly good damage, at least has a cheeky extra hit on the end of it. But the 3 in this string is the launcher that I mentioned before, so if you want to end any combos in this, you actually can't, because the launch ends the combo before the crude hammer even comes out. So if you want to end combos with Reiko, you really need to pop up and learn his air cancel path, because it is the only thing that gives you good damage at all. His pokes and standalone buttons in general are all extremely slow for recovery, so slow that it's just not worth it, so he doesn't get many decent buttons that he can actually compete with, leaving his only usable buttons incredibly one-dimensional, not many of them, and really as good as it's going to get. When you break down Reiko in this game, it is standing 3, down 4, 113, and flip kick. That's it. Everything else is either death on block, too slow to bother with, or it scales so much that it isn't worth your time. In high level, if you're looking to do a charge move, you may as well do flip kick. The shoulder charge is a little bit irrelevant unless you want to go for a situational ring out, but in competitive play, people often turn off the death traps, so you can't even use that. The moves that Reiko had did not fit the meta of Armageddon. A complete opposite effect to his MK4 appearance, absolutely. And it is a huge shame because his design is awesome. He still feels like the Reiko we all know gameplay-wise, but he just left such an underwhelming impression in the competitive sense that he's just not good. Not good at all. Although it's a rare sight, granted, any community Armageddon tier list tends to have Reiko in the bottom 5, and that's definitely accurate. Reiko is a memorable character in the Mortal Kombat universe, and like I said in the beginning, in the different forms of media that he's been in, there's a bunch, it's just that his playable inclusions had one extreme or the other. Super strong in MK4, and so bad in Armageddon. I personally would really love to see Reiko come back one day with a new makeover and developments to his more famous moves, but in the current playable legacy of Mortal Kombat, Reiko is a split down the middle on his competitive capability. Thanks for watching our latest episode of Competitive History. Consider subscribing perhaps, turning on that notification bell, or even going one step further and subscribing to my Patreon. I'd appreciate all the support, but if not, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Take care. Oh, it's safe! I'm so scared. I'm out. No, I'm not. Nope. Okay, never mind. Yo! And he just kept ending up there.